And with us right now, we've got Adam Lean. Adam, you are the president and founder of the CFO Project, and you're the host of the P is for Profit podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Josh.
So listen, I'm a huge fan of having a great CFO, and we're going to talk about businesses, so if there's a business owner and you're kind of varying levels, at what levels should you be engaging with someone that can kind of work through numbers with you? Now, I'm going to argue, Adam, and I don't know if you're going to argue against me. I'm going to argue that that's something you probably want to do a lot earlier than the average business owner is, that at the very least, you work out a way to have a conversation, at least, kind of get your numbers in order, even if you're just honestly acting as like a freelancer and you're, hoping to expand just a little bit. It's time. That's my argument. Now, you couldn't possibly argue against that, could you?
No, absolutely. I mean, every business owner has to understand their numbers. And that can come in a variety of ways. You can hire a CFO, you can hire other people, you can hire an internal controller, bookkeeper, accountant. At the end of the day, the business owner has to understand their numbers. Here's the problem though. Most business owners don't really understand their numbers. And they think that because they have an accountant or bookkeeper, that
Right.
the accountant or bookkeeper's job is to help them understand their numbers. It's not. Your accountant and bookkeeper's job is to record what happened in the past and to make sure you're in compliance for tax purposes. Most bookkeepers and accountants, they're not going to help the business owner. So the fact remains, a business owner has to have somebody that helps them understand the numbers and know what to do every single day in order to improve the profit and cash flow in the future. And I mean, quite simply, that's why big businesses have CFOs or chief financial officers. The CFO of Amazon helps the CEO and other members of leadership to know what's going right and what's going wrong and what to do about it. Well, every business needs somebody like that, but most businesses can't afford a CFO. So what we've done is we've actually taken the complexity out of this, and we have a simple system where we give you a CFO to meet with on a monthly basis, and they'll show you what's going right and what's going wrong and what to do about it. And our entire mission is to improve the profitability and cash flow of the business.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think you got everyone's attention. So Adam, let's take a little bit of a history lesson. Where did you come from?
Oh yeah, so I used to be an accountant. I graduated from college in 2005 with an accounting degree, became an accountant in Atlanta, and loved where I worked, hated being an accountant. Because an accountant, you're recording literally what happened in the past. It was incredibly boring to me. I wanted to work in the business and help the business grow. And so in 2006, I started on the side an e-commerce business. And there was a lot of, I would say it was easier to start an e-commerce business in 2006, but there was a lot of challenges too, because it's not as easy as it is today. But then again, back then we didn't have that much competition either.
And I should point out, Adam, that you were a senior accountant at Six Flags of all places.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I loved where I worked.
Yeah.
I was the only accountant that was ever volunteered to be trained to work on in operations on rides during busy days, just because I wanted to get out of the office. Yeah, it was a fun place to work. I just didn't enjoy being an accountant.
Yeah. And so from there, you founded your own company.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, while I still had my day job at nights and on the weekends, I built an e-commerce business. Well, by 2008, I was able to leave my day job to focus on my e-commerce business because it was growing so much. I mean, in terms of sales, it was growing like gangbusters.
Yeah.
But by 2009, 2010, sales were still growing, but my profit and cash flow was getting tighter and tighter every single month. I had an accounting background, so I understood what was going on, and I was able to sort of take steps to fix it. But around the same time frame, I started working with other people that started businesses. They were experiencing the same types of problems. Sales were probably going up, but they just didn't see the money in the bank account. Where did it go? So I started helping them understand where it went. And it sort of dawned on me, business owners, they don't want to deal with the numbers. They didn't get into business to deal with numbers. They got into business because they were experts at a craft or experts at a trade.
Yeah.
But think about it. A plumber who knows plumbing starts a plumbing business. It's not because a finance person wakes up one day and says, you know what, I want to start a plumbing business.
Right.
So most businesses in this country are started by people who are experts at the craft of the business, not numbers. But the fact remains, regardless if you own a plumbing business, a restaurant, a manufacturing plant, a doctor's office, you still have to do two things. You have to make cash flow. And the number one way to, the best way, there's multiple ways to create cash. The best way is to create a profit. So those are the two main focuses: create cash, and to do that, you have got to make a profit.
Yeah. So, I mean, this all sounds very ideal. What is typically happening? So if a company is like going through some growth, why might they experience cash flow issues?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, and that's a common question, is that most business owners are seeing all this sales. They're working a lot.
Yeah.
Their salespeople are selling. They just don't see the money. And a couple things are happening. And we'll walk through an example to sort of paint a picture. So let's say it was our plumbing example. Somebody owns a plumbing business. They sell a $5,000 job to a restaurant to redo their plumbing. Well, the plumber says, gives the restaurant owner an estimate for $5,000. The restaurant owner says, yes, I'll do it, $5,000. And then the plumber gets to work. The plumber has to pay his people to do the job, whatever materials and supplies are used to do the job. Let's say that was $2,000 and he's hoping to make a $3,000 profit. Mm-hmm. So he pays his employees, he buys the materials and all that. He spends $2,000. The client hasn't paid yet. They just agreed to the estimate. So they do the job, they finish the job. The plumber's out for $2,000 because he's already had to pay his people and the materials and suppliers. But let's say the restaurant takes 90 days to pay that $5,000 invoice. On paper, the plumber's made a $3,000 profit, but in the bank account, he has negative $2,000 because he had to pay his labor and suppliers. So imagine doing this for 40 jobs a month.
Yeah.
It just multiplies. Where does that money come from? And what if the restaurant owner goes out of business and never pays that $5,000 invoice? So that's just one example of why you can be profitable on paper, but never have cash. And the opposite needs to happen. You need to have cash, regardless if you have profit in the bank or not.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to make a profit, but.
So does the CFO just provide clarity? Is that the biggest thing?
I think the CFO provides three things. It helps the business owner understand the numbers. So clarity, yes. Understand the numbers, what's going right, what's going wrong. And then the second thing is they just constantly analyze the financial strengths and weaknesses. And this is something that a financially trained person does on behalf of the business. So behind the scenes, we're analyzing, if you change this price, or if you hire this person or increase this or did this, then you could see an increase. We're constantly analyzing things on behalf of the business owner. And then the third thing, the most important thing, is we propose corrective actions. We help the business owner create a plan to actually fix it, to actually do something that will move the profit and cash flow needle. Because most business owners, they're working too much in the business. Mm-hmm. And not on the business. That plumber is that person spending their time working in the business, getting sales and filling the sales and managing their team. And they're just fighting fires all day and they're working a lot, but they're not seeing much for it because they're not working on the business, doing the things that will help improve cash and profit.
Yeah. So Adam, I think a lot of folks might say, well, hiring a CFO, that sounds really expensive. And right now, I'm a little bit earlier stage in business, and I'm just not sure if I have the money to make that investment.
You're absolutely right. Most businesses under $5 million in sales don't need a CFO, but they need somebody. And so that's actually where we come in. We're not customized CFOs. We're not virtual fractional CFOs. We have a very specific system, a 4-step system.
Yeah.
That we do with each of our clients, which allows us to scale and allows us to charge much, much less. We charge a flat fee per month, and we'll do these same 4 things for you. But those same 4 things involve helping you come up with, helping you understand your numbers, analyzing the financial strengths and weaknesses of your business, and knowing what to do about it. So we'll do those 3 main things that a CFO, a big CFO does, but we'll do them at a price that's reasonable. And we only take on clients who we're 99.9% confident that our fee would be dwarfed in comparison to how much additional profit we can help the client get.
Yeah.
Here's an example of that. We started working with a marketing agency about 3 years ago who was doing about 1.3 million in revenue, but they had a loss that year, $250,000. And the owners were working a lot on increasing sales. They thought sales was the way out of it. And sales does cure a lot of problems. But that wasn't their problem. Once we started working with them, we realized that their margins on some of their services were really low. So we had them stop focusing on sales and start working on the improving some efficiencies in the margins. And we were able to help the company. They're still a client. Last year they did about $350,000 in profit. So they went 3 years ago from a negative 250 to a positive 350.
Wow.
And largely, they didn't increase sales all that much.
Wow.
So, and I guarantee you, our fee was a tiny fraction of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's more than just, because I think anybody can look at where the money is going each month and say, do we really need to spend that? Do we really need to spend that? So how does the CFO provide more clarity than just like, why are you spending money here? Or, I guess I want to help someone who's thinking, well, this just sounds obvious. You're just going to ask me, why am I spending this money? And I'm going to justify it. And if I can't justify it, then we need to cancel it.
In most cases, we don't even recommend cutting costs. Just think about it. If you cut your costs all the way to zero, you're still probably not going to make a profit. So the biggest win for a business is to improve cash flow coming into the bank account. And most of the, of course we want to control expenses, obviously, but and control what's going out. But we want to get more money coming in the bank account, and there's multiple ways to do that. But here's the thing. We create a custom scoreboard for our clients. We never show them the income statement or balance sheet. If they want to look at it, they have access, obviously, to their books. They can look at it. Most businesses don't, because they're confusing. The income statement and the balance sheet and cash flow statement, they're confusing. Yeah. And here's the thing. Most of the things that a business needs to track aren't even on there. Most of the things that a business needs to track to get money in their bank account is not on there. Things like, how are you going to get leads? What percentage of those leads turn into clients? What percentage of those clients can you retain each month? What percentage of those clients purchase again? How many times do they purchase? All of those things feed into our numbers or metrics that we measure, and we help the client build this out. That measures sales. So when you pull up your income statement and say, oh, I made $300,000 in revenue last month, that doesn't tell you what you need to do or how next month's going to shape out. It doesn't even tell you how well you did last month. So the financial statements are great for accountants because they need them, but they're not great for business owners. Business owners have to understand their numbers and know what to do to improve profit and cash flow. And so that's why we create this scoreboard. It's an easy to understand report. It's color coded, red, green, or yellow. What's going right and what's going wrong and what to do about it.
So it sounds like, Adam, that you make these, kind of some of the benefits of a CFO accessible. And so how, what kind of pricing do you guys offer? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's a flat fee per month, and we don't really advertise the pricing because we like to get on a call with a potential client to make sure it's a right fit. literally, this is a relationship business. We have to, the client has to like us. We have to like the client, and we have to be confident that we can help the client improve their profit and cash flow. So we get on a right fit call, and then we'll most likely offer to do an assessment on their business as it is now, so we can see where it's at, and we'll show the client, here's some red flags and opportunities for growth, and here's a plan of action that we think you should take. Then we'll say, all right, based on this, here's what we can do for you, what we're confident we can do for you, and here's how much it'll cost. And we practice what we preach. If you're going to spend money in your business, regardless if it's on us or employees or marketing or insurance or rent, it has to provide a return on investment. So we make sure that happens. And so we'll show you, here's what we think we can do. Here's how much it'll cost. What do you think? And then the client decides if it makes sense.
Nice. Awesome. Well, Adam, tell me about the P is for Profit podcast.
Yeah. So we have a podcast called P is for Profit. The idea is that it's called P is for Profit because we want to make profit super simple.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating part with accountants and bookkeepers and other finance people is they make profit, understanding how to get a profit, so complicated. And they talk about things that don't matter to the business owner, and it's because accountants focus on the financials through the lens of taxes, which is great. You have to have an accountant to do your taxes if you don't do it yourself. So you have to have an accountant, but their job's not to make things simple. I wish they would. They just don't. They're not trained in that. And quite frankly, most accountants don't understand business either. They understand numbers. I mean, I have an accounting degree. Most people that I got an accounting degree with, that I keep in touch with, I mean, they know tax law, they know, they understand the financials and the journal entries and all that I wouldn't trust them to run any business. I love all the accountants out there listening, but you would probably agree with me. If you're listening to something like this, you probably understand business enough to know that most accountants don't make it simple.
Yeah, right. So as a business yourself, tell me about your growth and kind of how you've been able to grow and scale your company.
Yeah, so that's a good question. We wanted to create a business with a very specific vision. And that was to give business owners, typically smaller business owners, the same type of resources that a big business gets. Mm-hmm. I mean, most business owners in this country, most businesses in this country are ran by small business owners, small to medium-sized business owners. According to the Small Business Administration, half of all small businesses never see their 5th birthday. Mm-hmm. They just go out of business. I mean, think about it. 1 out of 2 businesses will not be here in 5 years. That's crazy to think about. They need help. And my mission is to help them with an easy and simple way. And so that's really been my goal. And so we've gotten some good financially minded people that have what I call heart of a coach and a heart of a teacher. Mm-hmm. Those are CFOs that we certify. They work with our clients, and that's the goal. I mean, we want our clients to understand how to improve their profit and cash flow and actually do it.
Mm-hmm. And so what does your structure look like? You have a lot of CFOs, as it were, that take clients through a process. But like, what does your company look like, and where have you kind of taken it to?
Yeah, so I mean, it started out with me getting clients and servicing them myself, and then a couple of years ago, I started hiring other CFOs and getting other CFOs on my team that had the same type of passion. And so, we still get clients, and then we assign them to the best CFO that matches that company. So for example, we have a CFO that's an e-commerce expert. So most e-commerce businesses go to that person. There's somebody else that's that's more of an expert in service-based businesses, like heating and air, car mechanic shops, things like that. We have somebody that specializes in that. But we all work together as a team. We help each other with our clients because we want to make sure that we're doing the best job for our client.
Yeah. And then, in terms of like where people, what do you do to grow your business, and where do your clients come from?
So many different ways: word of mouth, referrals, building relationships, and getting referrals from those relationships. The podcast. There's several different ways, but yeah.
Okay. And I mean, in terms of like plans for like, do you have to do paid advertising, or do you primarily focus on content? I saw obviously looks like you do great content and you use that as a magnet, but and networking is always nice. But anything beyond those things?
No, I would like to, honestly.
Huh?
I think digital marketing, I used to own an e-commerce store, so I did.
Yeah.
I would spend, up to some months, $50,000 on Google ads and Facebook ads. I know the power of it. But I'm not there yet. I would love to be.
Yeah.
But primarily right now focused on networking, relationship building, and content building. Yeah.
Excellent.
You can help me get there. I'd love to talk to you about that.
Sure. Let's chat. We could probably work something out. Awesome. Well, Adam, what is I see you've got a couple of, or you definitely have one cool freebie. Tell me about the video workshop that you offer pro bono.
Yeah. So the CFOproject.com /video, or if you just go to the CFOproject.com, click on how it works, goes to the same place. Basically, it's just a 20-minute video that shows exactly what we do and how we do it. And then it gives you an opportunity to schedule a call with me or one of my other CFOs for 20 minutes, just to talk about your business and to see what's going on and see if we may be a good fit. Because we're not high pressure people. We only want to work with people that want to work with us and we like. And so if it's a good fit, we'll tell you what the next steps are and we'll go from there. But yeah, the video is the best place to start. The CFOproject.com /video.
Awesome. All right. Well, Adam Lean, again, you're the president and founder of the CFO Project. Again, on the web at thecfoproject.com. You can go to the CFOproject.com /video, watch the free video that Adam's talking about. And then, of course, right now in your podcast player, the P is for Profit podcast. And so I think you're up to 20 some episodes. So congratulations.
Thanks.
And
I still feel nervous when people tell me they've listened to it, because it's like, it's horrible.
Oh my gosh. They get bad. Don't listen. Whatever you do not listen to the early episodes. Well, actually it was different. It was Jennifer who was hosting for quite some time. But the podcast I've been doing the longest is the Savings Angel Show. And so that one, if you go and listen to the first few episodes of that, you're like, oh man, how did this guy stick with it?
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Adam, thank you so much. I really appreciate
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Take care.